All right, good evening, guys. Hope you all are doing well and had a good trading day. I apologize for the late update. Kind of had a family day today and got back late, but I wanted to give you guys an update for the evening before I went to bed. So, taking a look at Bitcoin and where we ended up, it looks like, we got a really bullish move today, which was awesome. We got up to 64, 6, what was it, 64, 673. Before we started that consolidation back down that we talked about, we started this next daily candle, kind of a compression for right now. I don't, because we had two expansions in a row, I don't expect a lot of movement. There's a possibility there might be, but ideally, always when the weekend rolls around, like Saturday and Sunday, we don't want a lot of movement, right? So going into the 12 hour, not too much different there. So we got that 21 curving up, that cross, 21 crossing the 50, so that's a good sign. Your 10 hour looking about the same. 8 hour could be possibly starting somewhat of a roundedness, it looks like there. I wouldn't be too concerned about it yet. Your 4 hour, you got all of your MAs above the 200, so that looks good. Let's see here. Hmm. I would probably expect, I do see us having somewhat of a pullback to the 21. I know I've talked about that, but I don't know if it's going to happen Saturday. It could happen on Sunday for the start of the week or on Monday. It's going to be really interesting to see. But ideally, when our next weekly candle opens, we want to see a drop down, like I always say, right? So I would look for it to touch that time to be the time where it touches the 21 on the 4 hour or the 50. Until then, we could just kind of go sideways, honestly, guys, above the weekly. I think that is probably more of the more probable case. If we lose 63,940, we have a chance of revisiting weekly open, making it more of a compression candle. But for right now, I would say we're probably going to lean more bullishly and just kind of consolidate above this yellow line right here for the most part. We could even have a slow move up as well. Going into the 1 hour, let's see here. Yeah, I mean, the 1 hour, it does show that we could have a pullback. I'm seeing to the 786, which would basically align with around the 63 265. It's 63 292 it says. So there's a possibility we could get a pullback there. I'm not going to trade this weekend. I'm just going to kind of sit out and watch what happens. But the bullish case is that we're going to keep this support line at 63,940. The bearish case is that we will drop below it and possibly test weekly open or, even possibly get a little bit lower than it. But I hope that we don't have that much movement this weekend. Going into the 15, you honestly look like you're in some sort of a flag here. So you could kind of draw this out here. Honestly, it's kind of a diamond, is it not? Let's see. Is this kind of a diamond? Looks like a diamond. Guess this is the only thing that doesn't really, but yeah, it looks a little bit diamond-esque to me for some reason. More of like a rhombus, but just keep in mind that there's a potential that we could roll over here if this is a diamond. Which would take you back to the beginning. So you'd have to say that we would test weekly open again if that would be the case, basically. That's the only sort of bearish thing I see on the 15, but there's a good chance that we just kind of consolidate and make this like a nice bullish pennant here, bullish triangle, and then we break on up. Something like this, and then we break on up. So, there is a possibility we get a move um, tonight or tomorrow because of this pattern, but ideally, I just don't. I hope that we don't, because next week will be rough if we do. So, anyways, guys, that is what I see inside of the charts. Let's go ahead and go to our liquidity through Trading Different. So, on Trading Different, let me refresh this here. All right, let's take a look. And we'll go into our 4 hour. All right. So going into the 4 hour, Yeah, I mean, you have this red liquidity right above us. It really is alluding to the fact that we're going to probably take this out first prior to going back down into the 61, 60, high 60,000 range. Um, so, there's a possibility we get some sort of 786 from within here, but I don't think we're going to get down into here just yet. Um, you can see that we do have orders, obviously down into the 63 area, so within here, which we're not really taking out any of the 25x on the 4 hour. So nothing to be too concerned about. The 1 hour, let's take a look here. 1 hour. All right, 63, 584. So yeah, I mean that kind of aligns with these orders right here, that we see on Kiyotaka, right? This, it's telling us that we could potentially test that area sooner rather than later. That's where the highest amount of liquidity is. So, there's a potential that we kind of have a rollover, test this area, maybe get a small bounce from there. Unfortunately, I think that would kind of give us a compression candle. Yeah, because the 63,602 is where the weekly open is. So that would mean that the week would close in kind of a compression candle, and that's not the best sign for the bulls. There's a possibility that, the next candle after could be, a red candle. It could turn red, especially if we have indecision in the market. Going into your 15-minute, you do have some orders up here to 64, 500, 64, 7, but not near as many as down below, right? There's a lot of big orders down below to 63, 5. So, yeah, guys, I mean, at least in the short term, it does look like we're going to get a pullback to take out at least this low right here, which is kind of a double bottom from this point over. So, possibly taking out this low. Bouncing off the 200 would be my guess on the 15 if we got it sooner rather than later. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of expecting that we may drop in the intermediary time frames. At least on the smaller time frames, and then on the bigger time frames, we'll still be going up. Like the meso and higher, we'll still have a chance of going up. But your scalping time frames, like your hourly, your 15-minute, there's a chance that we get this drop right now. Um, And then the 5 minute we'll finally look at here. So the 5 minute kind of showing that same story. We do have, liquidity up here, but it is painting that picture that we could be taking this out first. So look out for this area down here. I would have this on your chart, 63, 550-ish area, or nearby. We don't have to take out this whole entire area, but somewhere with 63.5 to 63.6, I would say we're going to probably take out sooner rather than later. Let's go ahead and take a look at our simple map as the final thing here. So our simple map is showing that, you do have quite a bit of 100x right below us. Obviously all the way down to 63,630, 63.5. Yeah, so there is quite a bit of 100x and 50x right there. So there's a possibility that this gets taken out, first before we get some sort of a slight move up. Again, I'm hoping that we don't get huge movement this weekend because it usually spells out trouble for the following week. So smaller time frames, let's hope that we just get some small movement, hopefully get a small dip, and be able to bounce from there. And then your bigger time frames, as usual, like your liquidity around here is not that much. Really, honestly, guys, it does look like we could potentially take some of this out, this 25x, and then kind of work our way back up and eat some of these shorts up. I still am targeting, up here at the 65.5 area. Think it was 67, 66, 7, I think was another area, but I'm still thinking that we're probably going to go up, pretty soon. I mean, we're above the 4 hour 200 MA. We got that golden cross with both the 50 now and the 21. So honestly, like, the only real play that I'm seeing right now, and again, not financial advice, is wait for price to get into this area, maybe take a chance long because you're still above the 4 hour 200 and just let that puppy sit for the entire weekend. Um, Because you never know. Even on Sunday night, we could get a random pump up. Especially if we're going to be bearish next week, we could either get a random pump up, get a blow off top, and then just free fall, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing in the market, guys. I know it's late, so I appreciate you sticking with me. But anyways, um, that is what I'm seeing for today. Drop to 63.5-ish area. If we do make a move up first, take a look around 65,000 for us to possibly get some resistance. And that's pretty much it. And as usual, guys, if you want to use Trading Different, you feel free to use my code Sean. You'll get 10% off of your entire order, and you'll be able to utilize these amazing tools to be able to help you trade. So it's tradingdifferent.com/code/Sean. All right, guys, I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning. Take care.